Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and it looks like the saga of the Ratcheting Precision bit driver, or 4mm bit driver, is continuing. Started out with this Mac one and the entire box for $105. Then somebody mentioned there's a Titan that looks really similar. Got that one off of Amazon. As I was digging around, it turns out that two big boxes, blue and orange, both have their own. So I was able to track a pair of those down. Some people had mentioned this Kobalt one in the comments, but said it was discontinued, and they're correct, sort of. I mean, there was a previous model that was discontinued, but this one is available. This Husky one here, you can see the part number there, 1000, and then 392309. It is a 23-piece precision set, sells for about 20 bucks, 19 and change. The Kobalt here, there's the part number 5055411, and this is a 25-piece, and this one sells for around $18. Now, I'm going to compare these two kind of head-to-head in a few different ways, but as far as I can tell, the bits between these two are identical. Now, this one says it is made in China, right here, the Husky, and the Kobalt here says that it is made in Vietnam. Yet the bits, when I was playing around, were so similar. I actually, with this Husky one here, I marked them. You can see there's little black marks right there. And I did that simply because I couldn't tell them apart. So sometimes I would choose two just completely different ones in my inspection because I didn't want to mix them up just in case. But as far as I'm concerned, they're the same thing. So what I'm going to do is go through some of the pros and cons on each of these sets. Some people said this Titan really needs a case. Absolutely, it needs a case. Well, you could get one of these. Remember, these are 12, so 24. So this one wouldn't fit. This one it would fit. I really like the case better. Well, let's just jump into it. Okay, first of all, this is a big case, not as big as the Mac case, but still a little kind of crazy. I thought this handle would come off, and no, it doesn't. I don't see where you could pull that thing out of there. I think it's molded in. I was thinking at first maybe I could go in and get a hold of it, but anyway, what I found is that this case has a couple of shortcomings. That's one of them. They put the latch up here, and you have to flick it. I'm not sure how long that's going to last. The second thing, the big irritation, is it stops right here. It goes up that far. And we all know that one of the things case lids are good for is being a parts pan or a parts container. So as you're digging things out, you can just throw them in there, and it takes care of it. But you can't with this, and it just feels like a much harder plastic. Assuming the bits are all the same, what's the difference? Well, let me show you. There's a couple of minor differences. Okay, first of all, this is the Husky is a 23-piece set. This is a 25-piece set. So this has two more pieces. But what are those? Well, if we look at the listing here, you can see there's one of each of all of these. And up here, it's a T5 through there's a T15 and a T20 on this side. Okay, so that's going to be part of the difference. Everything else is pretty much the same. But when we go over here, remember there's two more pieces here. So this contains two Phillips zeros and two Phillips double zeros. Okay, so that's like +2 there. But then if you go to the the Torx ones, there are two T5s and two T10s. So now we should be up by 4, except this only goes to T10, whereas you recall this one goes T15 and T20, meaning there's +2 there. So it's -2 here, so that's where the +2 comes, because it's got just doubles of a couple of the bits. So otherwise, they're pretty much the same. So outside of the cases, outside of the bits, I'll just grab two bits here. Let's see, maybe I can grab these two just to show you here, even the writing. So let me grab a T10 on this end. Is this the 10 here? Yeah, okay, so there's the T10. Show you the printing there. If I can hold these things still, right there. What do you think? Is that an accident? They just happen to be the same. And then my mark. Uh-oh. Where is it? There's got to be a mark on it. Did it come off? I don't know. Well, maybe I messed up. Anyway, so they, as far as I can tell, look identical. So let's go to the handles here. Yeah, that's weird. There should have been a... Oh, there it is. I can see it here. I just couldn't see it with the bright light. So when we look at the different handles, pop this guy out. The Husky feels a little bit bloated. This sort of spins on the back. I mean, it's got a ton of resistance. This is a pretty crunchy handle. If I look, they are a little different. They are very similar as far as the single piece compared to the Mac, which appears to be 2 pieces. You can see that. Let's count the teeth. So here's the Husky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's about a quarter right there. So this is a 20 tooth, just like the Mac. Let's do the Kobalt here. Line it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could this be a 24 tooth? Maybe. I don't know. It feels like it's just a little bit more. Remember, this guy here was a whole bunch more. I forgot, 60 teeth, I think, and then this was also one of those 20s where a quarter of it was 5. So that's about the same. As far as the wiggle, the Kobalt feels a little sturdier. This is a lot of wobble here. If I'm spinning this thing, a little crunchy, not quite as silky smooth all the way around. Now this one, also a little bit crunchy, but it's the same crunch all the way around. That's kind of nice. If I take this bit right here and insert it in, let's check the back drag on these guys. Okay, so if I hold this, make sure it works here. So this one will turn this way, and this. So if I hold it, you'd see this spin. If I hold this, you'd see this spin. So who's turning here? Okay, in this case, you can see it's really close. Sometimes it's the Husky, sometimes it's the, well, in this case, there we go, there's a little bit there. Mostly the Kobalt is winning. Right there, you can see that. Okay, what about if I compare it to the Titan, the Husky? See, it just cleans its clock, I think. Whoops, maybe not. Yeah, see? The Husky, goodness, it still does it anyway. So if I hold this, it'll ratchet. If I hold this, it'll ratchet. So you can see it's just spinning the Titan. And then what about the Mac? Get that lined up. Yeah, so if I hold this, you can see that that one's going to spin. So this Husky definitely has the most back drag. As far as the movement of that ring, Kobalt is actually the most solid out of all of them. Titan is a little bit loose, but really smooth, and this Husky sometimes locks up, and I'm not even sure which way I have to turn it. You can see that ring really needs a little bit of help. For being, you know, a $20 set, $2 more than the Kobalt, you think they'd put a little bit more effort into it, but the insides could be the same, who knows. As far as the tail cap, forgot to mention that. This is a bunch of resistance here. And in fact, the snap-ons sometimes have a lot of resistance, but they're silky smooth. They're just hard to turn. That's kind of what this is. It's It's a little bit difficult to turn. You can see it easily spins in my fingers, but it's really smooth. Whereas the Husky's got, you can even hear it crunch away. So anyway, I also noticed Project Farm did a precision bit video and tested them a whole bunch of different ways. Oddly, a lot of them were pretty good, even the inexpensive ones. When I was playing around with this, trying to see if the ratcheting here, slide this over, how far I could get a screw out before the ratcheting mechanism doesn't work anymore. See if I can go further. Oops. So that's the problem with the ratcheting. If you look, pretty soon just the simple back drag is enough that you can't keep screwing in or out. So does it really matter, or would you be better off with just a little guy here? And in reality, that's kind of what I'm thinking now. I would love to have a ratcheting one. And then I thought, well, what are my other options? Okay, this has got really low back drag. This is the Impact Stubby Ratchet from Klein. I put a Weehaw 4mm bit adapter in it, and then I could drop in and this is a heavy stubby because it's got that big chunk of iron in there. But it's pretty slick. So I don't know. Yeah, it came out about as far as the Kobalt there. What about a T-handle? I tried that. And I don't think that's a really good option. It's a little bulky. It's hard to rotate. One of the reasons we like the little guys is because they're low torque and you can spin them, maybe 2 or 3 times. There's one right there. So just the ability to spin these really fast is why we use them. So T-handles are out. I thought about this Wera bit driver. This one's got all of those things in it, but I could easily drop that in. But this is so big and bulky, same problem. I even explored the Klein here and thought, oh, hey, what about that? And I was using this longer 4mm bit to see if there was any benefit. It actually, for breaking things loose, is kind of nice, but there's some missing precision. That's really where these are the dedicated ones. So kind of in this journey, I might end it here, even though I've dug up a few more of these ratcheting bit drivers. I just think we probably dialed it in with the standard, so I'm back home. Took a little journey, thought I had something better, but going with these small bit drivers, and especially this little setup, this little Wera. Actually, I saw some SEMA videos where the person who was at the Wera booth was pronouncing it Wera, so maybe, I don't know. Anyway, that might be the winner right there. And I even contemplated cutting one of these down and trying to do a stubby ratchet one. And I thought the Husky might be a good one to cut off right there. But I'm just so disillusioned with these 20-tooth high back drag precision ratcheting mechanisms that, no, I'm back here. I think that's actually this. I like the shorter one. I think that's the way to go right there. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. I enjoy reading the comments. I read every single one of them, and a lot of people had good suggestions, and most led me right back to where I started. So thanks for that. Anyway, with that, Doc out.